The air was thick with the scent of salt and decay as the Lutz family pulled into the driveway of 112 Ocean Avenue on a frigid December day in 1975. The Dutch colonial house loomed over them, its quarter-moon windows glaring like hollow eyes. George Lutz, a broad-shouldered man with a skeptical streak, stepped out of the car, his boots crunching on the frost-covered gravel. His wife, Kathy, followed, her arms wrapped tightly around herself, while their 3 children, Daniel, Christopher, and Missy, spilled out, their laughter cutting through the eerie silence. The house was a steal, a bargain sealed in the shadow of a gruesome tragedy. The DeFeo murders. Just 13 months earlier, Ronald DeFeo Jr. had slaughtered his entire family in their beds, 6 lives snuffed out in the dead of night. The realtor had been upfront about the house's history, but George waved it off. He didn't believe in ghosts. Kathy, though, felt a shiver that wasn't just the Long Island winter. The first night was quiet, almost too quiet. The family unpacked, their footsteps echoing in the cavernous rooms. Missy, the youngest at 5, clutched her stuffed bear and whispered about an angel she'd seen in her room, a girl with dark hair who didn't speak. Kathy chalked it up to imagination, but her unease grew. George, practical as ever, focused on the furnace, which roared to life with an unsettling groan. That night, as the family slept, the house seemed to hold its breath. By the 3rd day, strange occurrences began to pile up. Doors slammed shut without a breeze. Footsteps thudded in the attic at 3:15 a.m., the exact time the DeFeos were believed to have died. George, bleary-eyed, grabbed a flashlight and climbed the narrow attic stairs, only to find cobwebs and dust, no sign of intruders. Downstairs, Kathy noticed the crucifix on the living room wall was upside down. She righted it, her hands trembling, but by morning it hung inverted again. The children grew restless. Daniel and Christopher, usually rambunctious, became withdrawn, their eyes darting to corners as if watching something unseen. Missy's angel visits became nightly, and she described the girl as angry, her eyes like holes. The house seemed to pulse with malice. One night, George woke to a suffocating weight on his chest. The bedroom was freezing, his breath visible in the dark. Kathy stirred, her scream piercing the silence as she pointed to the foot of the bed. A shadow, humanoid but wrong, stood motionless, its edges blurring into the darkness. George lunged for the light switch, but the bulb flickered and died. The shadow vanished, leaving only the echo of Kathy's sobs. They called a priest the next morning. Father Mancuso arrived, his face grim, as he sprinkled holy water and recited prayers. But as he entered the sewing room, an unseen force shoved him back. A voice, guttural and inhuman, hissed, "Get out!" Mancuso fled, later warning the Lutzes to leave. They didn't listen, not yet. George, stubborn, refused to abandon their investment. But the house grew bolder. Red welts appeared on Kathy's arms, unexplainable and burning. The children's toys moved on their own, skittering across the floor. Missy, S' imaginary friend, was no longer a girl, but a pig thing with glowing red eyes that watched her from the window. One night, George found himself in the basement, drawn there by an inexplicable urge. The air was damp, the walls slick with something that wasn't water. He uncovered a hidden room, no bigger than a closet, its walls painted red and reeking of blood. The family dog, Harry, refused to go near it, growling at the empty space. Sleep became a battle. Nightmares plagued them, visions of faceless figures and blood-soaked beds. Kathy dreamed of the DeFeo murders, seeing through the eyes of the killer as he moved from room to room. She woke screaming, her nightgown soaked in sweat. George, too, was changing. His temper flared, his eyes sunken and distant. He began waking at 3:15 a.m. every night, pacing the house with a rifle, convinced someone was watching. The children stopped playing outside. Daniel claimed he saw people in the walls, their hands reaching out. Christopher refused to sleep alone, whispering about a man with no face who stood over his bed. The breaking point came on the 18th night. Kathy was in the kitchen brewing coffee to stay awake when the room filled with the stench of rotting meat. The walls oozed a black viscous liquid that dripped onto the floor. She screamed for George, who ran downstairs to find the living room furniture levitating an inch off the ground. The children huddled upstairs, Missy sobbing about the pig thing trying to get in. A deafening hum filled the house like a swarm of insects, and the windows rattled as if pounded by unseen fists. George grabbed his family, shoving them toward the car. As they fled, Kathy glanced back. In the upstairs window, two red eyes glowed, unblinking, watching them go. The Lutzes never returned. They left everything behind: clothes, furniture, memories, and moved to Kathy's mother's house. The story might have ended there, but the house wasn't done. Father Mancuso, plagued by illness since his visit, reported strange welts on his hands and voices whispering in his rectory. Paranormal investigators, including Ed and Lorraine Warren, later explored 112 Ocean Avenue. They described an oppressive energy, capturing photographs of a spectral boy with glowing eyes. The Warrens claimed the house was a portal, tainted by something older and darker than the DeFeo tragedy, perhaps tied to the land's history of violence, from Native American burial grounds to colonial-era executions. Skeptics called it a hoax. The Lutzes' story, they argued, was a ploy for fame, exaggerated for a book deal. Financial records showed the family was in debt, and inconsistencies in their timeline raised doubts. Ronald DeFeo's lawyer later claimed he and the Lutzes concocted the tale over wine, though the family denied it. Yet those who visited the house, realtors, neighbors, investigators, reported unease, cold spots, and fleeting shadows. Subsequent owners experienced nothing as dramatic but admitted the house felt wrong. One family replaced the infamous windows as if erasing its eyes could erase its past. The Lutzes stood by their story until their deaths, George in 2006, Kathy in 2004. Their children, now adults, insist the terror was real. Missy, in rare interviews, speaks of the pig thing with a shudder, refusing to say more. The house still stands, its address changed to deter gawkers, but its legend endures. Tourists drive by, snapping photos, while locals avoid its gaze. Some say the evil never left, that it waits, patient and hungry, for the next family to cross its threshold. What happened at 112 Ocean Avenue? Was it a demonic force, a collective delusion, or something in between? The truth, like the house itself, remains shrouded in shadow. But for the Lutzes, those 28 days were a descent into hell, a nightmare carved into their souls by a house that refused to let go.